liberty, and justice for all.
And will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Rastad.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
And we are all present and accounted for. Next item on the agenda is to consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending September 11th of 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we will consider approval of our minutes from the September 8th, 2020 County Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Is there any discussion, corrections of any kind? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? And our minutes are adopted. Next, we have 3 items under Chair's remarks today. And the first is to recognize our Job Training Center staff for receiving a Promising Practices Award from the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. The Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards presents Promising Practices Awards to organizations that develop programming that is innovative, leverages outside resources, and is impactful for job seekers, employers, and the community. We are proud to note that our Job Training Center recently received one of these awards for its cohort model for incumbent worker program. This program seeks to remedy a problematic worker training situation in our area. Anoka County is made up of a large percentage of small to mid-sized businesses, making it difficult at times to find a large enough group for incumbent worker training to make it cost-effective. It can also be difficult to survey companies without a detailed explanation of what incumbent worker training can provide. Here to talk about how the Job Training Center has addressed these challenges is Nicole Swanson, the director of Anoka County Job Training Center. Nicole, please join us.
Morning, Commissioner Schulte, members of the board. It's my pleasure. My name is Nicole Swanson. I'm the director of the Anoka County Job Training Center and staff to the Anoka County Workforce Development Board. I'm thrilled on behalf of our team to accept this award from MOB, from our association. Incumbent worker training is so important to small and medium-sized businesses. At this time in the economy, when you have businesses facing a multitude of issues, having a skilled workforce, especially in Anoka County, that will stay and work in Anoka County and live in Anoka County is so important. So I'm thrilled to have Bridget Backman with us today, our Employment Services Manager, and Troy Shuffle, who is a Senior Vocational Counselor with the Job Training Center. Others being recognized, Darcy Hokinen, Becca Johnson, and Amy DeMond. Bridget worked very hard working with businesses. As you mentioned, this is a unique training as it had a variety of businesses throughout Anoka County. The other piece is the training was held on site at the Blaine Human Services Center with our training partner, which was St. Thomas in this piece. Troy plays a pivotal role as well because he's working with the employee. They're not looking for work, they're staying with the same employer that they've been with. But to be successful with the training and address any issues that they might have, and certainly the business. So we're excited to use part of our state program dollars to support this training, but the business also is providing funding with in-kind, in this example, utilizing staff work time to allow the individual to participate. So incumbent worker training is very important to maintaining a skilled workforce and working with employers, which is part we do. So on behalf of the Job Training Center, I'd just like to recognize Bridget and Troy for their work and ask them to stand, and thank you very much for your time.
And thank you. And thank you, Nicole, for your comments. Before we go on, you used the term mob in the beginning of your comments. I want to ensure the public know that that's Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards and has no connection to organized crime. But before we let you go today, Nicole, would you also provide us an update on the Job Training Center's COVID transportation program, virtual platform, and a new resource available to career seekers called Coursera. Nicole?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. It's my pleasure, and thank you for noting that. Yes, MOB is our association. So thrilled. The Job Training Center, our focus is really about building tomorrow's workforce. And our mission is contributing to the success of individuals and employers through workforce development services. And as you mentioned, our economy has taken a shift since March of 2020 to where we are today. So I'm in front of you today to mention a couple of items related to CARES Act funding, and Coursera is one of them. You may have seen I've been tweeting about it and working with a variety of opportunities to get this message out, not only to our program participants, but to the community in which we serve. So Coursera is an online serving opportunity that the state of Minnesota used part of their CARES Act funding. And you can see the website if you go to careerforcemn.com. You can obtain free access to hundreds and hundreds of free online training opportunities. And right now with individuals putting a pause on their career or possibly looking at a career change before looking for a new job, they can go to this website and receive a variety of assessment opportunities, but at the same time receive free training as well as certification for high demand jobs and industries. This training is available to the state of Minnesota through March 31st of 2021, and it covers all training costs, including recognized credentials that are needed too. So this is a great opportunity. We've been working closely with our program participants, with our Workforce Development Board, and really getting this message of opportunity out. Heard a variety of real positive pieces from our program participants, and I know even some staff have taken the opportunity to utilize it for professional development. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share this. But yeah, if you can help us spread the word, that would be fantastic. This is just a real easy step-by-step process of how to access this no-cost training. The next piece that I'm thrilled to talk about is our Transportation Solutions Program, and thank you to the County Board and Rhonda Severaja and Cindy Caesar for the support with allowing the Job Training Center to expand our current program. Of course, in Anoka County, we've had thousands and thousands of people affected by COVID with, again, some on furlough, some have been laid off. People's childcare have been affected, people's children's school plans, et cetera, and one of the things that many times people can't afford when they're looking at reduced income are car repairs, and we can all know how expensive that is. What this program allows us to do is to really assist individuals who are eligible. We have a program eligibility. You need to be an Anoka County resident, in addition to having income at or below 200% of poverty, along with a couple of other pieces. But we will assist individuals with up to $2,000 in car repairs, or a combination of car repairs, insurance, and registration. We actually use Victory Auto, who has been through a certified RFP process with the Job Training Center under a previous program that we've done. They are providing their services to us and our customers at a reduced cost for their shop fee and for repairs for parts. And so you can go to our website at anoka.county.us/Job Training Center, or you can call Irina Ostashinsky, who is our transportation coordinator in partnership with Anoka County Community Action Program at 763-324-2318, and she can assist individuals with this application process. The county has invested $100,000 with this project, and I'm thrilled to say at this point we've spent almost $40,000 of that in just under 4 weeks. So you can see how desperate individuals are with needing solid transportation, not only to look for work, to participate successfully in training, to transport children or themselves to medical appointments. So it's really key to self-sufficiency. And then lastly, I want to give you just a heads up and ask you to look for additional information in the weeks to come. But we are launching Easy Virtual Fair. And again, this is an investment from the County Board and others in our work. The Job Training Center, we're located at the Blaine Human Service Center. That's where Career Force in Blaine is. And we have been the busiest location for years and years and years. Even virtually, our partnership page on Career Force MN is the busiest location. And that's because of the great services that our staff offer, and of course the services that we've offered to not only job seekers but employers. And we have been successfully having weekly on-site hiring events for years, and larger industry recognized sector events. And of course, with COVID, all of our services went remote, and so we've had to end that. We've been having hiring events on our website because employers still are hiring. And the good news is the unemployment rate has dropped. But what this will allow us to actually allow individuals to enter a customized website for Anoka County Job Training Center that links not only job seekers to program opportunities, but also employers. And so employers will actually have customized booths that individuals will be able to enter, apply for jobs, have interviews, et cetera, et cetera. And then in addition to that, we'll also host some of our program events here. An example of that would be our youth program. We were just getting ready to have a youth event in May, I believe, and that was completely canceled due to COVID. But we were doing a special event with youth and employers to really show young people about careers and to link them to employers. And now we'll be able to host a similar event as that on our website. So it's definitely more complicated than I thought it would be. I'm not an IT individual, but I learn something new every time I meet with the Easy Virtual Fair. So look for information coming out on our first event in early November. And that's at easyvirtualfair.com. And then we'll have our own URL too. So again, just providing some additional information about the system. And with that, I just want to say again, thank you for assisting us in meeting our mission. And our community needs us more now than ever. And myself and my team are here for those we serve. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Nicole, again for sharing this information. Many people are trying to get back on their feet after the impact of COVID-19, and having financial assistance for car repairs and access to online resources that can help them land high-demand jobs is important and encouraging. I, for one, can't express to you how proud I am of the work the Job Training Center does and Career Force. Looking at the numbers, as far as hiring and employment and unemployment, and our placement of diverse populations, people of color, is leading the state. And it's impressive work that you do, and I hope we continue on that line. It's really important work that you do, and putting people back in control of their lives will give them some semblance of normalcy, and that's what I think we need more than anything right now. So thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nicole? Thank you again. Our second item under Chair's remarks today is to recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Anoka County. As Chair of the Human Services Committee, I'd like to invite Commissioner Rastad to lead our conversation. Commissioner Rastad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Despite all that's been done, domestic and sexual violence continues to have an impact on our community. Listen to this. In the United States, on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. In Anoka County, we're working hard to raise awareness about these issues. Normally for this presentation, we have our representatives here from Alexandra House and the Dwelling Place, two area organizations that advocate for survivors in Anoka County. They're usually here to talk about their efforts in supporting victims and reducing sexual and domestic violence. However, due to COVID-19 pandemic, those representatives are not in attendance today. Subsequently, I will give an overview of the services provided by these organizations. First, the mission of Alexandra House is to empower victims of domestic and sexual violence and inspire social change through education, support, and advocacy. Their services include an emergency shelter, hospital-based advocacy, legal advocacy, safety planning, support groups, youth services, elder abuse services, community education, professional trainings, and more. Alexandra House has a history that goes back 40 years. This organization has been a leader in influencing public perception and response to domestic, sexual, and dating violence and interconnected issues such as homelessness, poverty, and education. Unfortunately, Alexandra House's annual Hope Fest event has been canceled this year. The core principles of the event are to raise awareness about domestic and sexual violence, remember those we have lost, and honor the many survivors. Even though this event is not happening, Alexandra House still has several initiatives in the works to raise awareness about domestic and sexual violence, such as a yard sign campaign, social media efforts, the Purple Lights campaign, a community education series on domestic violence, and the Ask Me Why I Wear Purple initiative. For more information on these initiatives, you can visit alexandrahouse.org. Secondly, the Dwelling Place is a Christian ministry providing healing and hope to victims of domestic abuse through supportive services and a safe place to call home. Many people come to the Dwelling Place after a brief stay in a crisis shelter for help in finding sufficient housing, employment, and other supports necessary for living empowered, successful lives free from abuse. Unlike traditional shelters, the Dwelling Place differentiates its services by providing comprehensive programming for 18 months, allowing women and children the precious gift of time. This organization has been serving our area and surrounding areas for 22 years, and it now has the equivalent of 8 single-family homes with capacity to support up to 57 women and their children at one time. From 7 to 8 p.m. on October 9th, the Dwelling Place is having a virtual gala. This event seeks to raise awareness about domestic abuse and break its generational cycle. The virtual gala will include a silent auction occurring 1 week prior to the gala, ministry highlights, stories and updates, beautiful music of Redpath, and our very own Anoka County Sheriff, James Stewart, will be the special guest speaker. For more information on the gala and the Dwelling Place services, you can visit thedwellingplaceshelter.org. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Rastad. The work of these two organizations do to combat domestic and sexual violence is profound, and they should be recognized and commended for their efforts. At this time, I'd ask that my fellow commissioners please join me in supporting Resolution 2020-107, proclaiming October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Anoka County. Before we end with this item and before we cast our vote, I would please ask Justin Navratil, Anoka County Health Program Planner and Policy Analyst, and Cassie Podvin, Anoka County Prevention Outreach Coordinator, to talk about a roundtable group that is planning some activities to help raise awareness of domestic violence and encouraging community feedback through an online survey that the group is developing. Justin.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is Justin Navratil. I'm the Health Program Planner and Policy Analyst in the Public Health and Environmental Services Department. Thank you so much for inviting me and my colleague Cassie to speak today. We are honored to speak on behalf of the Violence Prevention Roundtable of Anoka County. In a moment, we will share some upcoming activities regarding Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but first I'd like to share some information about this dynamic group. The Violence Prevention Roundtable was created about a year ago as a result of the recent Community Health Needs Assessment to identify priority health issues in Anoka County. Public Health and Environmental Services partnered with Allina Health Mercy Hospital to guide the community through a formal process to identify health needs and develop plans for addressing those needs. Domestic violence was identified as a priority health issue, and the roundtable formed to convene partners and community members to develop local community-based solutions. The purpose statement of the roundtable is as follows: to prevent relationship violence in Anoka County by increasing knowledge, making connections, identifying gaps, and creating solutions. We define relationship violence as follows. Relationship violence refers to a pattern of emotionally, sexually, financially, or physically abusive behaviors used by a current or former intimate partner to maintain power and control over the other partner. Membership in the Roundtable is open to all who are interested. Over the last year, we have fostered relationships with key individuals and organizations with expertise regarding domestic violence. I'm pleased to say that we currently have over 40 members representing a variety of perspectives, including local government, law enforcement, human services, public health, the justice system, nonprofit organizations, shelters, schools, faith communities, healthcare, and community members at large. Before I hand it off to my colleague Cassie, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the members of the Violence Prevention Roundtable and the organizations that they represent. Like with all public health issues, working to address domestic violence is absolutely a team effort. Thank you. And now Cassie will talk more about the Roundtable's work and some upcoming activities for Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is Cassie Podvin, and I serve as the Prevention Outreach Coordinator in the Public Health and Environmental Services Department. Thank you for inviting both myself and Justin here today as we honor victims and survivors of relationship violence and to share the work that is being done in Anoka County community. Since our first meeting in October of 2019, the Violence Prevention Roundtable has conducted community mapping activities to determine areas of strength and opportunity when it comes to the prevention and intervention of relationship violence. The Violence Prevention Roundtable is currently beginning the process of developing a strategic plan based on the 3 broad priority areas that have been identified: lack of resources, barriers to accessing current resources, and lack of consistent and inclusive education. As we begin this planning process, members of the Violence Prevention Roundtable have come together to honor Domestic Violence Awareness Month this October. In partnership with Alexandra House, we're inviting community members to raise awareness through visual display campaigns, to participate in a community feedback survey, and to join us as new members of the Roundtable. Awareness activities are being coordinated by Alexandra House as well as Zion Lutheran Church. Throughout October, residents, businesses, and organizations are encouraged to display yard signs as well as exterior purple lights in their homes or buildings. Participants can receive display kits that include additional resources and materials to make available with their display. The Violence Prevention Roundtable has also developed an online survey that is being offered in English, Spanish, Somali, and Hmong during October. Following the survey, a series of focus groups will also be held. Through these platforms, the Roundtable aims to give community a voice in how to better the prevention of and response to relationship violence. And lastly, for individuals that want to get involved beyond October, there's an open invitation to join us for ongoing Roundtable efforts. Justin and I have been honored to work alongside the current group of passionate and dedicated members of the Violence Prevention Roundtable, and we appreciate the board's time today to share their accomplishments and next steps. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Justin and Cassie. The work of the Roundtable group and the insights garnered from the survey will be important for more robust conversations with the community about how we can better address relationship violence in our area and offer the right resources for those who are struggling. I think COVID-19 and its subsequent quarantine and other society shutdowns have forced people to be together in situations they didn't necessarily think they would be, and some people abusing substances of different kinds exacerbates that issue. So the services we can provide, the services provided by the 2 organizations listed earlier, are critically important, specifically during this pandemic. So thank you again for your work. We really appreciate it. With that, I think we do have a resolution on the floor, and I think we need to call for a vote unless there's further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? That resolution is passed. For our last item today, we are recognizing the essential work of a local organization that is doing things to combat homelessness in our area. Family Promise has been operating in Anoka County since 2010. Its mission is to provide temporary shelter, hospitality, and case management to assist families experiencing homelessness in our area achieve housing independence. Normally, this During this presentation, we hear from Family Promise Executive Director David Fry, but due to COVID restrictions, Mr. Fry is unable to join us this year. We look forward to seeing him next year. Family Promise is ingrained in our community. It's composed of Anoka County residents, congregation leaders, and other caring people who want to make a difference by helping others in our area. Family Promises utilizes existing spaces in the county to serve as host sites to provide overnight accommodations and meals for families and volunteers. This organization also has a day center that serves as a home base for families as they are working towards ending their battle with homelessness. The name of the group refers to promise in the sense of commitment made by our community to families in need, but it also refers to the promise, the potential inherent in every family. Coming up for Family Promise is its Fulfilling the Promise fundraiser, 7 to 8 p.m. on October 8th. This will be an initiative, live-streamed event featuring a look back over 10 years with reflections from founding board members, community leaders, volunteers, and the organization's founding executive director. A former guest family will share their story along with a message from Family Promise staff. Plans for the future will be shared during this virtual event, and there will be Family Promise trivia with chances to win prizes. To register, visit familypromise.org/events. Now I'd like to ask my fellow commissioners to please join me in supporting Resolution 2020-108, proclaiming October 8th, 2020, Family Promise Day in Anoka County. There is a resolution before us. Is there any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that resolution is adopted. With that, we will move on to our committee reports, and we will start with the management report. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one action item, and that is restructure fill in administration and parks effective today. It's a vacancy due to retirement. It's going from 1 FTE custodian, grade A005, to 1 FTE park keeper, grade B010. And they just want the position to be versatile and the person to have a little more responsibility with operating machinery and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
A motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
That item passes.
And Mr. Chairman, the rest of the items are informational, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner West. We will now move on to the Transportation Committee report. Our committee had an opportunity to meet on Monday, September 14th in the Maple Room at the Bunker Hills Activity Center. And we have 4 action items for you. And there are 5 informational items that you can peruse at your leisure. First action item, the committee recommends approval of a no parking resolution restricting parking on or along the north side of Lexington Avenue from approximately 500 feet west of the access to Coon Lake County Park to approximately 500 feet east of the access to Coon Lake County Park in the city of Columbus. Is there an offer for the resolution?
I'll move that.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Reinert.
I'll second.
We'll
there's no
just
second.
use it as a resolution
Yeah, there we
offering. Does anyone want Joe to give us some more information on this, or has everybody heard this one enough?
I'd like just a quick update.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Joe, can you give us a little background or where we're headed on this one?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Transportation Division Manager and County Engineer. So this item actually came before the Transportation Committee meeting back in June of this year. And at that time, what had been proposed was 900 feet each direction of the park entrance on both the north and south side of the road to try and address some safety issues centered around the narrowness of this road. There's no shoulders. And so at that time, there was a good discussion and valuing both the use of the park and the realization that COVID-19 has actually increased the amount of usage on our lakes and our natural resources. and balancing that safety aspect, we were asked to take a further look at it, consider some alternatives and some other options, including looking internally at the park. Are there other options and places that we could park vehicles? And so we did that. And we met with the Parks Director, Jeff Perry, so I appreciate his help, as well as talking to city staff, the Sheriff's Department, and we came up with a solution that where there's still a safety concern there. And what we decided to do is on the north side of the road where the park access is, we decided to restrict parking 500 feet each direction so that there's a good visual sight line for both people accessing the park or leaving the park. And that's how we ended up where we are today. The city's on board with that, and the park director is on board with that, and we at the highway department feel that's a good solution at this time as well.
Thank you, Joe. And I will comment that this is a balance when you set up these no parking zones, specifically because it is a public access. It's a DNR authorized access to a DNR lake. But we have to remember that the DNR restricts the size of those parking lots for one specific reason. And that is they know how much pressure the lake can handle, how many recreational boaters should be out there. So they control the number of spaces, number of vehicles on the water based on how big they make the parking lot. So by allowing parking on the roads to excess, we are really kind of circumventing what the DNR maybe wants. And maybe some of the lake residents, one of the lake residents spoke at our transportation committee about how she felt the lake gets a little too much pressure when too many people have an opportunity to park on the road and launch their boats. The lake gets a little too busy. But there is a fine line. It's a public waterway. Our residents should have an opportunity to use it even if they don't live on the lake. So it's a balance. And I think we've struck the balance here. I think we've made the right decision. I appreciate Joe and his staff and the work they've gone through here. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I wanted to thank Joe and his group and the Parks Department as well for helping out. This is always a tough situation, but you want to make sure the roads are safe in this area. You've got traffic going, and you've got, especially at Lexington there, where you have two turns pretty close to the intersection. So you want to make sure traffic is back away from those intersections so people can see and you don't get someone gets hit and hurt or even worse. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the cities stepping up with their resolutions and letting us know what they would like to see. That's appreciated. They obviously have a real hands-on with their residents in those areas, so I appreciate the work that they have stepped up and have done as well. But and it's just a matter of trying to keep it as safe as possible. I'm hoping that some of the traffic or more traffic that we're seeing this year is due to the virus and people being asked to stay close to home, not as much traveling maybe up north to go on lakes. And of course, Coon Lake is a very nice lake and a great lake for boating, so it's obviously very attractive for people to get their boats out there, so I appreciate the work that we're doing. But just everybody's got to work together on this, and I think we showed that we can sit down with the cities and listen to what they're saying. So I appreciate all the work and the work of the Transportation Committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And actually, that was one question that I had. So is it only this year for both this one and the next item for resolutions about the no parking resolutions? Is it specifically because of COVID, or has this been building up over time and this year was sort of the tipping point?
I can't give you any empirical evidence other than to say that this is not just a one-year restriction. This will go into place. It'll have permanent signs placed, and we will reassess as time goes on as to whether it's needed further or it's an overreach.
No, I'm sorry. I meant for us to take action to do this. Has this been building up over time, or was it just this season that we saw a significant increase where we do have to take action?
I'll turn to Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, great question. So I think this year, because of COVID-19, we saw a huge increase. I think in the past, there's probably been one or two, maybe 3, 4, 5 vehicles that pile up along there. But just hearing from the residents that live along the corridor, this year really was a spike. And if you look at the boat dealerships around town, their lots are empty. I think it's been a good year for them. Maybe not on the inventory side, but there's been a lot more people active on the lakes and so forth. So this year starts it. But this action will, from here on out, will preclude or restrict parking from here until we determine an endpoint.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, there's a resolution before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that passes unanimously. Your next item is the committee recommends approval of a no parking resolution restricting parking along the north side of Viking Boulevard near Coon Lake from 500 feet east of Thielen Boulevard to 750 feet west of Isetta Street in the city of East Bethel. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Rastad. Is there further discussion or explanation requested? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? A unanimous vote. Next, the committee recommends approval, authorizing the county engineer to submit an application for funding through the Minnesota Highway Freight Program solicitation to help fund planned improvements along US 10 at Ramsey Boulevard and Sunfish Lake Boulevard in the city of Ramsey. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
The resolution has been offered. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? A unanimous vote. Next, we will move to the committee recommending approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into a local road improvement program agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for the design services of Ramsey Boulevard and US 10 interchange projects in the city of Ramsey. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer that resolution too.
The resolution's been offered. Is there any further discussion or request for more information? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Teresa, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Teresa. The rest of this agenda for transportation is informational. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to Joe in his department or myself. That does conclude my report, and we will turn to Commissioner Look for the Finance and Capital Improvements Committee report. Commissioner Look.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance and Capital Improvements Committee met on September 17th. We came away with one action item, which is that the committee recommends the county board approve master contract C0008106 with Guardian, I should say, Pest Solutions out of Superior, Wisconsin for countywide pest control services. As per the information on here, this is not the lowest bidder, but they are the lowest, most responsible bidder on account of the fact that the lowest bidder was not really bidding in-kind services or like-kind services, not in-kind, but like-kind services. The lowest bidder had, I guess, some apartment complexes they were working on and not quite the square footage that our facilities are. So not much difference in cost there, but this is the organization that we had used in the past, and they've done a great job, so it is a recommendation of staff to continue working with them based on the bid. So.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. We will now turn to Commissioner Rastad for the Human Services Committee report. Commissioner Rastad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our committee met on September 15th and just have a couple action items. The first is the consent agenda. There's just 2 items on that consent agenda, and I will move those.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary about the consent number 2 for the Minnesota Housing Families Homeless Prevention and Assistance Programs grant. Just some commentary. I've been told that in the last, I think, 5 years or so that we've continued to accumulate more funding for that area and that grant. So I just want to recognize that. I think originally it was $500,000 and now we're about $900,000 and plus some change. So just recognition about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. Is there any further discussion? We have a motion and a second before us, and this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Reiner. Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that item passes.
The next item would be Resolution 2020-HS17, which is the adoption of the economic assistance bills, and I'll offer that resolution.
The resolution has been offered and is before us. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reiner. Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And that concludes my Human Services report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brastad. We will now move on to the Property Records and Taxation Committee Chair report, and we'll turn to Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So today I come with a chair's report. There is one action item. I recommend that the county board adopt resolution 2020 PRT 8 authorizing the purchase of assistive voting devices. And this is a project that we've been hearing about for about the last year. All polling places in Minnesota must provide at least one assistive voting device that conforms to the requirements. And just recently in 2019, this particular device was certified. So now we are at the point to actually purchase that. And I can say that our current technology is about 15 years old, so this is quite an improvement. And I'll have Paul come up to kind of fill in the details. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, just to add briefly to that, this is supplemented by state grant funding that was appropriated in 2019, so that will offset a large portion of the cost, which will also be shared between the county, the cities, and the school districts per the terms of our joint powers agreement, and all municipalities and school districts have signed on, indicating they're on board with us moving forward with this purchase. So it's a long time coming. Unfortunately, the timing of it, we won't have these in place for the November election with everything else that's on our plates, but it will be in place beginning in 2021 and moving forward.
Paul?
Thank you. I was actually just going to ask about the timeline for this general election. And there's going to be 135 pieces, one for every precinct. So I will put forth that resolution.
There is an offer of the resolution on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
And that item passes.
Thank you. The rest is informational, but I would like to share, particularly about elections, since that is right around the corner. So early in-person voting has already started as of Friday, the 18th, at Anoka County, this government center, and all cities across the county. Through the 2 days, more than 1,800 voters have cast their ballot in person. We are close to completing our initial absentee ballot mail-out of nearly 50,000 absentee ballots. If you requested an absentee ballot by mail, please wait for that ballot to arrive rather than coming to vote early in person. And these numbers are historical in terms of the demand. And lastly, the Secretary of State is mailing absentee ballot applications to all registered voters in Minnesota that did not already have an application on file. If you wish to vote absentee, we encourage you to apply as soon as possible. Go online to mnvotes.org. It's the easiest and quickest way possible to apply, but again, all registered voters will be getting that application. So it's voluntary. If you want to do that, then you need to fill out that application and then mail it back. And then just for transparency's sake, we did have a discussion recently too about security, voter security. And so there are absolutely secure measures in place. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. And I would just, for the public's edification, remind people of the difference between absentee voting and early in-person voting. Absentee voting is when you do that from home and you never have to leave the house. You get a ballot, you fill it out, you mail it back in. early in-person voting is you don't have to worry about the absentee ballot. You just come into a facility and cast your ballot early, as it suggests. So you shouldn't ever do both. Both are being offered to you by just about everybody right now. And for those that really like the old-fashioned way, come on in on election day and go to your regular precinct. Will be set up socially distanced and all ready for you. So feel comfortable, whichever process works best for you. Thank you for your report. Next, we will move. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reiner.
I would just like to add that attempting to vote twice is a felony.
And that's even just the attempt. You don't even have to do it, just attempting to do it. All right, with that, we will consider the PRT report done. We'll move on to the Public Safety Committee report, and we'll turn to Commissioner Brasted for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee met on September 15th, and our first item is that the committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2020-PS09, which is accepting dedicated donation from Top Wash, Anoka, to the Sheriff's Office. And this is really innovative, generous donation that was given to the Sheriff's Office. So Top Wash donated 65 car wash cards. Each one of those cards has 10 washes on it. So the Sheriff's Office will be able to use this to keep their fleet clean. So we appreciate that, and I'll offer that resolution.
We have a resolution before us. Is there further discussion? I would just like to extend my gratitude to the locally owned Top Wash group. They have a couple of facilities in Anoka County, but specifically the family is very generous, and this is a great donation. Thank you. Seeing no further comments, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
And that item passes.
My next item is that the committee recommends approval and execution of the 2020-2021 law enforcement contracts for a term of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 with the following municipalities. The City of Andover in the amount of $3,287,046. The City of East Bethel in the amount of $1,204,480, or $1,204,480, and the Township of Linwood in the amount of $259,889. These are all law enforcement renewal contracts starting January 1st. And I'll move those.
We'll take all three together. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Just a question. Is there 7 or 8 of these contracts that we serve?
I believe 8.
8. Okay, thank you.
And I believe we have a couple left yet to finalize, 2 more yet this
Okay.
year. So they're in the works.
Any further questions for discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner
I
Gamache.
don't want to date myself, but as the former mayor of Andover, I remember when we were under $3 million. But I'm sure it's going to great work that the Sheriff's Department has always done for the city of Andover, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Any further discussion? Seeing none, so roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Opposed.
Commissioner Brasted.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And that concludes my public safety report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. That does conclude our committee reports. We will now get into the beef of the agenda, and we'll jump into item 8 to consider a resolution 2020-109 relating to the reappointment of Alex Guggenberger as Anoka County Assessor. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Alex, and thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it. Next, we'll consider Resolution 2020-110 relating to the appointment of Jody Raymond as Taxation and Technical Director for Division of Property Records and Taxation. Is there an offer of the resolution?
So moved.
There's an offer by Commissioner Meisner. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make some commentary about this appointment and the next one as well. As you guys know, I've been pretty consistent in my desire to have post an open position and conduct interviews through our Employee Relations Department. However, for this one, after many conversations, I do understand that this is actually not new positions. These are restructured positions after Pam LeBlanc had taken over for division manager. So this is truly a restructure, and whatever is left over from the original old position of Pam, it is actually now, I believe, posted right now in an open competitive way, will be conduct interviews by employer relations. And so therefore I am very happy to say that I happily support both of these new restructured positions. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that passes. Thank you, Jody. We look forward to your service, and thank you for your past service. Next, we'll move on to item 10. Consider approving a contract for employment agreement between Jody Raymond and the County of Anoka for services as Taxation and Technical Director, Division of Property Records and Taxation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Rastad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll move to item 11. We'll consider a resolution 2020-111 relating to the appointment of Christy Olson as Administrative Services Director, Division of Property Records and Taxation, and Land Commissioner. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
Commissioner Rastad has offered the resolution. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one of the things that we had learned at the property tax meeting from our staff, and also I believe they mentioned it probably today in the management committee, is that one of the early benefits that we're seeing from Tyler, our new software program in property, is that we have this opportunity to combine some places and actually reduce a salary, relatively large salary position. So that's the good news, because that's what you want to see when you have new technology come in, is that it helps you change things a little bit and hopefully be a savings down the line. So we get a positive mark in that. So I appreciate that, and we'll see what else happens later on.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. Commissioner Meisner.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and I want to say, Commissioner Gamache, that the cost savings was $80,000 by this restructure, so it is significant. Thank you.
And it is a good opportunity to remind the public and all of us that we are using every opportunity to look at the structures within Anoka County government and to restructure where possible, or if we look at the structure and it's working perfect, to maintain it. But using these opportunities when there's a retirement and advancement to restructure is vitally important. That's part of the tagline, being innovative and fiscally responsible, and I think we're doing that. And this is a great example of that. And now I've lost my place. We just finished item 11, right? And now we're on 12? I think that's accurate. Consider approving a contract employment agreement between Christy Olson and County of Anoka for services as Administrative Services Director, Division of Property Records and Taxation, and Land Commissioner. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
It's a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that item passes. Thank you, Christy, for your past work and for your future work. We appreciate it. Next, we'll consider approving a contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield for the Retiree Medicare Supplement Insurance Renewal Package, Plan N, with no coverage changes beginning January 1st, 2021, with rates as outlined in the Anoka County Personnel Rules and Regulations, as recommended by the responsible commissioner for insurance. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there any further discussion? My only concern is they refer to me here as a responsible commissioner. I'm not sure that's true, but thank you. There's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll look to consider a resolution adopting a proposed property tax levy for program year 2021. And we will hear from Corey unless somebody wants to offer the resolution right away, and then we'll hear from Corey. Corey, you're up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Corey Kampf. I'm the Finance and Central Services Division Manager. And what you have before you is our preliminary levy resolution for 2021. Again, this is the preliminary resolution. We don't adopt our budget at this time. Our budget is adopted in December with a final resolution. This sets our tax levy at the highest it can be for the coming year. Whatever we set here will remain. We can reduce it, but we cannot increase it in December when we continue budget conversations in that. If you recall, Commissioners, we have been talking for the last 3 months. We've had a number of workshops and discussions around how COVID is affecting the county, what does it look like going out there. There's a lot of activity going on, and there's a lot of unknowns going on as well. Currently, one of the requests had been to set this at a 0% or no change levy going into 21. And so right now, that is what is before you on this resolution, is a 0% levy. And so with that, based on that, let me know if there are any questions or comments that you'd like to make.
I would just make the quick comment that, as Corey stated, we cannot go up from this levy. What we said right now will be the levy, or we have a month or so to bring that down as low as we can, if we can lower it at all. But in the meantime, this is the highest point we can levy for 2021 taxes. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
Resolution has been offered by Commissioner Look. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, I just would like to thank Corey. This is really complicated stuff, and you've been very generous with your time to explain everything. And I will say that I personally was really surprised that we're even able to do this. And it's kind of counterintuitive because my first instinct is like, there's no way the demand for services and all of that, but it is countered by the fact that we're not obviously spending as much either on travel and things of that nature, and having our employees work off-site as well. So I'm really happy to see these numbers, and I'm surprised at the same time. I will say it makes me a little bit nervous personally, because like you say, we can't go up. But again, I've had multiple conversations with Corey, and their projections, so I understand they're not set in stone, but they look really good. So again, thank you and your team for all of that work to get us here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would comment, it starts at the top. Administrator Silveraja, working with the entire finance division and every department, has figured out ways to be fiscally responsible and innovative. We've changed the way we do business, a lot of it because of COVID, and a lot of it because we had some program changes in mind to figure out how we can do this more effectively. I, like you, am a little surprised we're able to do this, but I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled we can look at our taxpayers and say we can hold the line, we can tighten our belt when necessary. And I think this is one of those necessary times where everybody has that. Not everybody's been terribly afflicted by this, but everybody has that great big question mark as to where are we going from here? What's next? And this hopefully will give them a little solace in that Anoka County's finances are pretty solid and well-grounded. Commissioner Reiner.
We are in a good spot. 0% increase is good, but I would like to see this board meet again in a work session to grind down a little bit on the numbers and see if we can do better than that even before it becomes final.
That is our intent almost every year. Every year we try to get back together. Well, every year we do get back together to try to figure out what we can do. Thank you for that. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When times like this happen, and you said that a lot of people aren't, it hasn't inflicted a lot on some, but there are some that it is major in their lives, and I'm really thankful we can come through with 0 and see what the future holds as far as the final decision.
Thank you. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Corey, you'll have to, well, first I'll make my first comment, which is normally, yes, absolutely, let's go back, let's see where we can continue to be efficient. At the same time, we do have to consider that this is investing in the services we provide, so I would caution us to cut to the bone, as you've often said. And then in terms of getting down further, I mean, I'm looking at this amount of 141 million, but if it's a 0% levy, and that's what we have before us as our preliminary, what does that mean then to have it less than 0%?
We would actually cut it and,
so it would just
reduce the levy by 2% or 5%, or, I mean, there was a year where this county board did 7% reduction in the
like
levy.
a negative 7%.
Yes, which means people's property taxes essentially come down overall,
Okay.
Not everybody.
Okay.
Even at a 0%,
right.
not
Right.
everybody's affected the same, and
Correct.
we know that.
Yeah, because it's not consistent across the board for
Based
taxes.
on valuation.
Correct.
And assessment, yes.
Commissioner Brasted?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When you're talking about decreasing it below 0, we've done that in the past, and sometimes it's how we come in at the end of the year. If we come in way under budget, we're able to come in under the past levy without cutting any services. So when we've reduced our levy in the past, we've still kept our services going. We're still functioning. There's not any vulnerable people going without anything. So it's just, just like your own checkbook. If all of a sudden you have extra money coming in there at the end of the year, we could actually look at reducing it. And I'm feeling really hopeful that this will be one of those years.
Well, and one of the talking points you'll hear a lot is, well, they must be using reserves if they're at 0, or if they reduce the levy, they must be using reserves. That's never been true in Anoka County. Our reserves have always been healthy. We maintain them at every opportunity, and we actually increase them. So no, that's a talking point some will throw out. Please ignore it. It's fake news. Commissioner Gamache, did I see your hand up? Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, so budgeting. So I've been in business over 35 years. I work with budgets constantly and been in government over 20 years. And so I've always applied kind of the business attitude towards government budgets, and which is just simply assessing on an annual basis what your activity is, and then matching up the resources to that. And that is what efficient running of a business is and efficient running of government is. If you have too many resources compared to the activity that's going on, you're wasting money. And so all I'm suggesting is that we take another look and make sure that we are providing enough resources for all the activities that are going on, not shorting them, but just making sure it matches up.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mazzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have not used our reserves, but we have used our preservation fund, which is a different fund. So I just want to clarify that we have used other funds from elsewhere to make sure that our taxes are lower. And again, I won't go on too much further about this, but just in terms of breaking this down farther, I would just caution us because, yes, we do want to be efficient, but this is also an investment for things in the future, things that we will be needing. The recovery is going to be very long for all of us. So I would just really caution to, again, cut to the bone.
Well, I will suggest most of this conversation is well suited for our workshop, maybe not so much here today. But in the meantime, Commissioner Look, last word.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just I want to weigh in here a little bit. I think it was about not quite 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, we kind of took on debt at this county, and we decided we were going to reduce debt. And I liken it to, just for simple numbers, say you had $1 million mortgage, and you have to make that principal and interest payment every single month. But if you pay off your $1 million mortgage, all of a sudden what you were paying for that principal and interest, you don't have to pay every single month anymore. And the money that you have coming in isn't allocated to that mortgage payment anymore. And you have more flexibility. And it wasn't necessarily a doomsday type of prediction, but we somewhat approached it from the standpoint that we weren't sure what the future was going to look like. And there was some talk of economic, concerns that are out there as, from the federal level and everything else. And so we wanted to make sure that we were being responsible with our debt and paying it down. In doing so, that debt service that we paid is going to help us come in at a flat budget here today. And we are still keeping our services and maintaining those services, and we aren't rating our reserves. And as it relates to the asset preservation fund, we have more in it today than we've had in the past. Quite honestly, we can look at it from a financial standpoint and say, how did we get here? Corey, how did we get here? I mean, it's a great feeling. You guys have done a fantastic job. And it's really about management. And it's about looking at what are we gonna spend money on? What are we gonna focus on? What are our needs? What are our wants? And I think this board has done a fantastic job in controlling that and making sure that we're responsible. And because of this pandemic that we're in, we're well suited, probably better than most counties that are out there. And that's a testament to the work we've done. That's a testament to the staff. I want to praise them for the caution that they have been under here in terms of their budgets going forward and realizing, hey, we're not sure even what tomorrow looks like, so we want to make sure that every single expense that we have is accounted for. And I just, I look at the taxpayers that are out there, and many of them have suffered greatly during this time. Some haven't, and they're the fortunate ones. But in terms of trying to represent everyone and meet them where we can, I think this is a very responsible budget. If we can cut it more, that'd be great, so long as we have a vision of the future too, or what we need in the future. But and we've done some great things. I mean, look at the Bunker Hills, the Bunker Beach project that we're working on. It's a large project, and so hasn't been all bare bones, but it's been very responsible in my opinion, and I'm proud to support it today and hope that that people see the value in the work that's not only done by this board but by the wonderful staff that we have here. So, thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Look. And as we go to a vote on this, I want to again thank staff, but I'm going to point out something that I think is obvious, but maybe not to everybody. It's true leadership that gets us here, and I assure you, staff will do whatever we tell them to do. It's their job, and they know it. It's the leadership of this board, specifically of Commissioner Look and the Finance Committee. He's chaired that committee as long as I've been on the board. And that's what's got our debt paid down to where it is. That's what's put us in a position where we can have a year like this. This isn't one of those years where it's you're a farmer with a bumper crop. It's not that type of year. It's a painful year, but we've positioned ourselves to deal with it, to deal with that in the best possible light. And I thank all my fellow board members for that. And in specifics, I will call out Commissioner Look, because he has led that challenge every day of my tenure on this board. And he's called me to question a number of times on projects that I've pushed, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the counterpoint regularly. But more importantly, your direction to staff. And again, I'm not downplaying staff's strength here, because it's what they do. They do a really good job. They present us with all kinds of different options. But you've made it pretty clear what options you want to look at. And that makes a difference. That's where leadership shines. So with that, we have a resolution 2020112 before us, adopting the proposed property tax levy for program year 2021. This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Rastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. And again, to Commissioner Reiner's first point, we will be workshopping this at some point to see if there's a way we can treat the taxpayers any more fairly than we already have. That's our hope. If not, this will be the maximum we will do for 2021 is 0% increase. Thank you, Corey. Next up, we have a resolution 2020113 adopting the proposed public safety property tax levy for the program year 2021. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brasted. Aye. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
And that item passes. Thank you again. Next, we'll move to item 16. Consider for informational purposes, the Anoka County Board of Commissioners will hold a public meeting on December 3rd, 2020 at 6 p.m., at which the budget and levy for 2021 will be considered and at which the public will have the opportunity to speak on the 2021 proposed budget. So that is an informational item for all of you to know that that is the date we will consider the levy. Next, we'll go to 17 for committee appointments. We'll consider appointing the Coon Rapids Battalion Chief Tim Gilsrud, representing Fire Services, and Joe Thomas, representing Citizens, to the Emergency Medical Services Council for terms ending December 31st, 2023. Is there a motion to reappoint?
I'll move that.
There's a motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion?
It was Commissioner West, actually, that seconded.
I thought I heard both of you. Commissioner West, was that second? With that, further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Those reappointments have been made. Next, we'll jump into our Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act items, or CARES items, under the local government category. Item 18, consider approving the following to allow more options to deliver county services safely. First, we'd like to consider purchasing of digital engagement platform, which includes the purchase and installation of technology, including associated maintenance agreements with Tierney Brothers Incorporated of St. Paul, in association with Mod Creative of Blaine, Minnesota, in an amount not to exceed $1,200,594. Secondly, purchasing virtual servers in an amount not to exceed $19,400. And purchasing translation services in an amount not to exceed $3,000. If you recall from a recent work session, we had a presentation on this. It's all about a specific application where people can find their way around our government services more easily. Corey, is there anything else we need to know about this before we vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Basically, what you just said, this will allow us to engage with our citizens in a more of a virtual way. Using our virtual rooms, we're going to have, I think, 7 of them or 5 of them around the county. And we are also going to have the ability for them to schedule appointments, like working in the license center, so we don't have crowds in the license center and stuff like that. So it's going to affect all services in all departments. And so it's just going to allow us to keep people safe, keep people healthy, and create that virtual ability to provide service and hopefully continue to provide great service that we do.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? I would just comment how I love the fact that we're able to use these CARES dollars because of COVID crisis. We're able to use them with local companies, a company out of Blaine, a company out of St. Paul, and we can work with them to get through this crisis and use those dollars that have been brought back to Minnesota. So for that, I thank purchasing and staff and everybody that's worked on those contracts. Any further discussion? Commissioner West.
I'm curious if this is going to make it easier for the license center customers to get things faster.
And we will hear from T. Goodman. Deputy Administrator.
Mr. Chair, Dee Goodman, Deputy County Administrator. So yes, it should help us quite a bit. Right now, we kind of are bottlenecking with having to have 2 people at the front door to keep people coming in and going out and then flipping every 15 minutes. What this will do is allow us to kind of eliminate some of that, or at least one of those people, because when people drive into the parking lot, they're able to drive in. We know they've entered our kind of area, and we can then communicate with them back and forth, so we don't need to have our waiting room, at the front steps or inside the building. We can actually have it outside. So this should help us greatly. John will be our first priority. License centers and passports will be our first priority, and that's what we'll be working on.
That's great.
Thank you, Dee.
Yep.
Commissioner Gamache.
That's good, since winter's coming in. I didn't know how long they were going to be sitting out there on the sidewalk. didn't look good. Thanks, Dee.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
And that has a unanimous vote. Next, we'll move to item 19. We'll consider approving purchasing and installing audio-visual equipment, including maintenance, to allow social distancing for 11 courtrooms from Tierney Brothers of St. Paul in the amount of $369,428, contingent on Minnesota Court's acceptance of a memorandum of understanding with the county that the Minnesota courts will take responsibility of all future video maintenance, repair, and replacement. So if I understand this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, we get 5 years of maintenance with this initial purchase, so the courts do not have to worry about it at all for 5 years. But we want an MOU with them saying in year 6, you own this equipment, you have to maintain it, you have to take care of it. It'll be in your courtrooms and spaces. All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Are there questions or discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that passes. And I will point out that's just another example of a great partnership when we could use our CARES dollars to help the courts get their jobs done easier. That's certainly a priority, and I'm glad we were able to make that partnership, or not make the partnership work. I'm glad we were able to use that partnership to a good end.
So, Commissioner Schulte,
Yes, Corey.
just a note, the courts have signed the MOU. Things are, so it's solidified, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for the update. Item 20, we'll consider approving purchasing monitors and installing audio-visual room kits for various rooms within multiple county buildings in an amount not to exceed $400,000 from Tierney Brothers of St. Paul, allowing video conferencing and online meetings. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry. I do have a question since we're approving some audio and visual equipment. What is the process to potentially look at Bunker Hills Activity Center, since this is now the majority of where we're conducting our committee meetings? I know the acoustics have been talked about long before COVID, but now since the public is coming there and so forth, I'm just curious, like, what is the process to investigate that option for using CARES Act dollars to help with acoustics in that particular location?
I am going to turn to Corey and Rhonda for this, but before I would just suggest that the room design probably precludes ever having good acoustics, and we're probably more likely having to use a bulldozer and build a new building if we want good acoustics, or use other facilities around the county for these committee meetings.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, this $400,000, there are 22 rooms. This includes Bunker. Bunker is included in this, so the Bunker Activity Center. So there are going to be some adjustments done. Like there's only so much you can do to a room. So, but another thing I did want to point out with this quote on this not to exceed 400,000, we are waiting final quotes on this, and it may come in larger than this as we're understanding. We don't know for sure, but we wanted to start because there's a lot of demand for Tierney Brothers and their services, and we did not want to get usurped by the state of Minnesota or some other agency to take it from us so we can get this done in a timely manner, using our CARES Act appropriately and doing what we had done. And remember, we did buy the room kits back in July. And, we had got, Susan Vreeland had done a great job working with the company to get the room kits in play. And this not only helps our citizens, it also is going to help staff. Because remember, we have a lot of remote work going on. And so we need some rooms for conference rooms to be set up to create the right meeting setup so we can continue the good work that is going on all around. So, all right.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to follow up, so first of all, I appreciate the accommodations for the public. I am deaf in 1 year, and so my committee meetings have been adjusted, but it's really beyond me. So the question about the activity center too, I just know that after COVID, and there's a lot of public gatherings there, a lot of people have challenges hearing what's going on in that room. So thank you.
And I concur. A lot of people have trouble hearing in that room. There's no question. I think, as Corey just explained, we'll do what we can, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too high for good acoustics in that facility. And we have voted on this item, so we are going to move to item 21, consider approving purchasing 2 laptop radio console positions at $70,000 total, and a 1/5 share in the cost of link operator servers for $12,666 from Motorola, for a total of $82,666. to add mobile deployment dispatching positions to allow dispatchers to relocate off-site and allow social distancing. Is there a motion to approve? There's a motion by Commissioner Rastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that item passes.
Mr. Chair, just a
Commissioner
quick question. I was kind of surprised to see that we could relocate offsite. That was good to hear. I didn't know if there was any approvals that we needed outside of the county just to do this, but I didn't realize that we could actually do that.
Yes, so these, Commissioner, these are mobile radio kind of dispatch all in one package, and they hook on and they carry them with them. And this would be for up to, I believe, 3 people that could go out and do the mobile dispatch. So this would be, one idea was if we ever did have someone have COVID downstairs and we would need to clean that dispatch center fully, I need to get everybody out, we could send them up to upstairs here, we could send them to Hennepin County, but that way they can get our calls directly into them and answer them. Where we do struggle whenever we try to switch over, so let's say something big did happen here and we switch over to Hennepin County, we send staff down there to do that. But what happens is then Hennepin County's answering our calls also, and they don't know the map or the area, and it makes it really hard to dispatch in a very efficient and quick way. So this allows 2 people or up to 3 to go down and dispatch and get our calls directly into them. It's a short-term solution.
It's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And again, I believe we've already voted on this, so we will move to item 22. Consider approving the following for improvements to Building E, located at the Anoka County Fairgrounds, providing critical climate control, backup power, and security for maintaining food, medical supplies, equipment, and personnel related to the current emergency. They include HVAC upgrade, heating and air conditioning in the amount not to exceed $100,000. Actually, we have a new sheet on this. I will read from the new sheet. HVAC upgrades, heating and air for $91,380 from Pierce Refrigeration. That is the base bid plus alternate one. Backup power is a 48 kW generator using natural gas for $28,588 from Midwest Electric and Generator. That was the base plus 1 and 2. Window replacements for $19,385 from Tama Glass. which was the base plus alternates 1 and 2, and automation improvements for facilities and construction monitoring not to exceed $7,500. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. This is great that we're able to take care of this, because obviously this is a very important building now that we're storing things in. Are there any other needs out there that we should be looking at above and beyond just the HVAC and backup power, windows? I'm not sure what else might. Is there a security?
I would just comment that, and Dee can come up and speak to it, but Terry Stoltzman, the head of our emergency management, has done a very good job leveraging grants through the years and upgrading that facility. We had a tour out there, I think probably a year ago now, and he's utilizing the space very nicely, nice racking and shelving, and he's done a really good job. It is an old building and continues to need some work. I think this is a great step in the right direction. I'm not sure he has anything else on his wish list.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, D. Goodman. I wouldn't say that. But I think he's done a great job through the years using federal, state grants to keep updating the building as we go. But what this has done is we've taken it a step farther, and we've kind of become a partner with public health and some of their rationings, food things that they have that need to be refrigerated. Right now, they're actually over in the courthouse area, and it's very hard to get them out. We don't have the ability, unless going through the hallways, to take large pallets and bring them back and forth. What this allows us to do is put them out at that building, and that's a perfect building for distribution. For anything where we need people to line up and run, it's ready and set up. And what this does is bring that building up to speed so we can handle that if we need to, with the generators, with having the windows. Right now, actually, some of the windows have been broke for years and they're boarded up. We didn't make that a priority, but now that we're going to be doing something like that, we'll be doing it. It already has security, and we do monitor that, but we'll be increasing that a little bit also, because there's a lot of equipment in that building that we want to make sure is safe.
Thank you for the update. And I would remind all of us what Terry said at our last meeting, that he considers being fiscally responsible his priority. That's his first thing, is he's going to take care of the money first and make sure that he's not overspending or spending in the wrong place. And he's proven that through the years. So to answer your question directly, Commissioner Gamache, I think he would tell you this gets him up to speed right now. This gets him where he needs to be, and if further things develop, he'll let us know.
And this is definitely an investment. This is not going away. This is something we use. And what was great about this is when COVID first came around, he had old masks that we had stored for years and years, and because he stored them in the correct way, we were able to pull them out and use them. Who knew we would need them? But that just kind of shows you that long-term planning is really needed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Another unanimous vote. We will move on to item 23. Consider approving purchasing additional hardware, modules, and related professional services from OpenText in the amount of $25,162.80 to extend faxing capabilities to additional remote users. Corey, I don't know that we need an explanation on facsimile. Most people don't have faxes anymore, and this is how we do it, through electronics and application software, and this makes it so our remote users can do that more efficiently. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Are there questions for Corey or discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we are going to jump into our safety net category, where we will consider approving providing $224,966 in relief to nonprofits as designated below for service expansion to citizens of the county that have been affected by COVID-19 health pandemic. And I'm going to read through the list rather quickly. We have the dwelling house, $2,000 for school support and tutoring. Judicare, $4,989 for legal assistance. Mediation and restorative services, $10,000 for legal assistance. Hope for Youth, $22,355 for youth support. North Anoka County Emergency Food Shelf, $15,000 for food support for children. Southern Anoka Community Assistance Food Shelf, $8,622 for food support and delivery. Salvation Army, $22,000 for basic needs for families. And the Manna Market, $140,000 for food support. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner West and a second by Commissioner Look. And I will turn to Administrator Subaraja for a comment.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just for clarity and accuracy's sake, rather than the dwelling house, it's the dwelling place.
Thank you for that. I should have caught that right away. Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then a question, too, about this particular bucket. So is this a one-time allocation, or depending on how that bucket is looking, before December 1st, could these or more potentially get another funding available?
Administrator Subaraja.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, Commissioner Meisner, this is what these organizations indicated their needs were and what they could spend before December 1st. Okay. If there was some other need that they identified, they would be able to come back and submit that and go back through the process. But at this point in time, this is specifically what they have identified their need is.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad. Aye. Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache. Aye. Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
And that item passes. Let's go ahead and do our additional board item next. Coming before you, we are consider authorizing risk management to settle workers' compensation claim 07-187 in the amount as discussed with risk management. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
And that item passes. That concludes our work on the additional agenda. And we will jump back to our regular agenda and item 25, which you don't see before you because I just added it. This is a brief recognition of years of service. We had two members among us who have years of service, and we're going to start with Commissioner Mike Gamache. 5 years of service to Anoka County. Because of social distancing, I'm not going to hand you this now, but we have a certificate for you, and thank you for your 5 years of service.
Thank you.
And also, we have Rhonda Subaraja for 30 years of service to Anoka County. And I thought you were 35 years old. No, we hired people at 5. At any rate, congratulations to both of you, and thank you so much for your years of service and dedication to Anoka County, the constituents, and making all of our lives just a little bit easier every day. That concludes item 25, and it does conclude our agenda. Is there anything else to come before the county board? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a woman in America and now a woman in politics, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the life and work of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she passed away over this weekend. She's done historical work for women's rights. And I just wanted to share a quote that particularly spoke to me. If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair tears in your community, something to make life a little better for people less fortunate than you. That's what I think a meaningful life is, living not for oneself, but for one's community. So thank you for that opportunity just to recognize our BG. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I for one, will say a prayer tonight when I go to bed that our cancel culture doesn't find a way someday to cancel out the good work she's done. We do see so many people of the past now that are being vilified and canceled out because they did what they thought was right in their time and in their environment. And who knows what future generations will say about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I, for one, think she did really good work. I'm very proud of the work she's done, and recognizing her is truly a good tribute. Thank you for doing that. But again, I will say my prayers tonight. Anything else to come before the county board? Seeing none, we are adjourned. And the HRA will convene in 5 minutes. Well, Eric probably needs 7 minutes.